Friday, September 29th, 4:15 p.m., Rio Piedras, Puerto Rico. I'm speaking with the Reverend Laura Ayala, who is the pastor of First Baptist Church of Rio Piedras. This church was founded in 1899 by American Baptist home missionaries, so it has a very long and connected relationship with the American Baptist family. Laura, tell me what it's been like to be here in Puerto Rico since Hurricane Maria hit.
It has been a big challenge every single day. As a tropical island, we have passed hurricanes before, but this was completely out of our imagination. It has been the strongest hurricane that has hit us directly in the last probably 85 to 95 years. So current generations, including me, didn't have a clue of what it was. We thought we were prepared. But as everybody is aware, Puerto Rico has been going through a very difficult financial situation as a country. That had impact in lack of maintenance in our electric system, in communications, in many things. So our systems were already fragile as it was. On top of that, in 2 weeks ago, we were not directly, but close enough, hit also by Hurricane Irma. So even though it were a tropical storm winds, because of the fragility of the structures, there was some damage done. Not as big as this, but there was some damage. And not even 2 weeks passed, and then we were directly hit by a category 5 hurricane that, thank God, lowered to category 4. But it was not something unimaginable for most of us. That's the first thing I have to say. So it is not that we didn't know what a hurricane was like, because I went through personally, I went through Hugo and I went through Georges 19 years ago. But this is completely so big compared to what Georges was. And that was difficult because of the fragility of all the systems. So as we speak, basically and the other thing is that in Georges, there were areas that are more affected than others. So you could go to the south and get supplies or get ice or go and buy things and come back. Or you could get gas, or you could go, because there were areas very affected, but there were others that were not. This hurricane affected the whole island. And because we are an island, there's no way where you can turn to. So it's not a matter of going to Ponce to the south or to Mayagüez in the west or go to the mountain. Everybody's the same or even worse than what you are. So we have to be, that's something else. So you don't have any place to turn to. We depend completely on exterior assistance. And unfortunately, even the government, state government, municipal governments, were not prepared for the magnitude that of the damages this has caused. So for the first week that has gone by, they have been trying to get organized themselves. That has been a challenge for most communities, because being in a community level, especially like where I'm at right now in Rio Piedras, this is basically a poor community. What that means is that in the list of priorities, we are kind of like way back, because hospitals need to go first. People who were flooded, there were people taken out of their houses because water raised over 10 feet. Those areas obviously had more priority. Hospitals, different gas stations, their communication system. So because the government and all authorities have to turn to those basic, really basic stuff to start building up everything from scratch, literally, people is hurting, but there's no help. There's no access. So it's not a matter, it was a point a few days ago that it didn't matter if you had the money. Everything was closed. So you had the money, but where would you go to buy? Everything was closed for at least 3-4 days. So if you didn't have your medications, still that is a problem because there's no systems. So that means that if you go to the pharmacy, you might have your record there, but they cannot access it. So you need a prescription. But most doctors are not working. So it's not a matter of going to your doctor's office to get a prescription. They're not available. The other thing is you don't have gas. So assuming you have a car, because poor people might not have it, but assuming you have a car, you have no gas. So you cannot go around trying to find a doctor to get a prescription because you don't have gas. You cannot spend gas, not knowing for sure what you're going to get. So once you have your prescription and you go back into the pharmacy, there's no communication with the medical plans. So you have to have cash. There's no ATM. You need cash to buy the medicine. I have a church member who needed insulin. One vial cost $300. I took the prescription with me and I said, I cannot buy it because it was $301 and 100 something other. It was more $400 and something in cash. Because if you don't have the prescription, or if you don't have the money, you cannot get it. So right now we are working with life-threatening illnesses of normal people. No, I'm not talking about the poor of the poorest now. I'm talking about normal people like you and me, who we don't have $500 to get your insulin, but yet you're diabetic and you did your prescription or you die. That's an example of what we are dealing with. Food. Because of the lack of electricity, all the food was damaged. So you had to throw it out. Now you have all that gone, and you might have food stamps. But guess what? It is a card where you cannot take the money out, and the supermarket don't have a system. So you might have money in your card for food stamps, but you cannot go and buy, even if it is open, because they don't have system to pass the card so that you can get your food. So that's the other thing we're dealing with. So that includes elderly, women with children, homeless people, poor people who need those things. But it's a matter that you don't have it available, period, because of your particular situation and what we're facing. So security. Police are being used to escort gas tanks and escort gas stations. It is a precious liquid right now, scarce, especially during this first week or so, for cars, for generators, for everything. And obviously, you have honest people and you have dishonest people. And they have been stealing gas. They have been stealing things. So now they have appointed police to watch the gas trucks and to watch the gas stations so that you can be preserving that liquid for those who need it. The problem is that if there's an incident, who are you going to call? First of all, most areas have no access to phones. Right now, everybody uses cell phones. Well, all cell phone communication was gone. It is coming back little by little, and depending where you are, you might have signal. For the first 5 days, I used to have signal here in Rio Piedras, but when I went back home to Caguas, 20 minutes away, I had no signal. So I could communicate with people between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., but after that, I couldn't communicate with anybody. And why 5 p.m.? Because there was a curfew. So I had to be back in my city by 6 p.m. Otherwise, I could get in trouble with police. So even if you wanted to help, you couldn't because you couldn't be outside. It has been pretty hard because of all that. So now we have the problem with the gas, the communication systems, the cell phones not working. So who are you going to call? And it's not Ghostbusters like the movie. There's nothing you can do. So it's going back to probably the 70s where you have to go and see people. You cannot call them. So we have to go back to what some of us lived, others more than me. But I remember having to go to visit my friend because he didn't have a phone in the house. Well, we have to go back to that. But I don't have gas now. So right now, for me as a pastor, there's still people from my church that I don't know about. I cannot call them because there's no communication. And I cannot go and visit them because I don't have gas in my car. So as it is, right now, I have like an eighth of a tank of gas. If I go home, I cannot come back the next day. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find gas. So that means that I cannot leave. So yesterday I stayed here. And most likely, if there's no gas, because some people are trying to help, I will have to stay here today too because of that. So that's the reality. So what we have done, that's the real thing. That's what's going on. Lack of communication. You don't know what's going on because there's no electricity. So you don't have TV. You don't have, if you had a battery radio, by now batteries are gone and there's no batteries in the store. So even if you have money and you go to the store, no matter what store you go to, assuming it is open, there's no batteries. So you don't have a radio. Only 2 radio stations survived and were stayed on during and after the hurricane. So that was limited in itself, and then you don't have a radio. So basically you don't know. You don't know what's going on. You don't know where's the help. You don't know. When I came here, my niece in Florida was the one informing me the magnitude of what had happened and what is the government doing and where are they located and what's going on. Because being here, I had no information whatsoever. So it is frustrating because you don't know what's going on. So basically, you either do something or sit back and do nothing. And we decided to do something. We organize in the community and we have become like the communication center. We meet here every day at 1 p.m. And it's a very diverse group of people. From youth that used to be called the revolutionary youth from the university that were part of the strikes and, the problematic kids. Well, those have been the ones that from day one organized, and they have like a brigade, and they have been the ones clearing the trees and cutting trees and opening the roadways of the whole city of Rio Piedras, in Rio Piedras. They even helped the Evangelical Seminary of Puerto Rico to be able to have access to their entrance because they couldn't go in because there were big trees crossing the road to enter the seminary. And they have been the ones doing that. Together with businessmen that just closed their businesses here to go out with them every day to cut trees and move trees around so that when the municipal government came in, they didn't have to start cutting, but they could just take it away immediately. And we have been assisting in that way. That's the way that what they have done. We organize in 5, I think, different committees. And these all emerged in conversation, being very open. Everybody saying what they have available, what they could do, what they could bring to the table. And we have a health committee. And in the health committee is led by the priest of the Catholic Church that is in here because he is a doctor. So basically he's leading the health to help the people that, like I mentioned to you before, that don't have the medicines, that they are getting sick, that they don't have access. There's a doctor in our church that she can prescribe. So she is joining the priest so that they can work together and help on that. And other people in the health committee. We are mostly in the feeding committee. So we are feeding between 200 and 300 meals a day, because we serve all those that are working, because they're working hard and they need food. And these are students, they have no money either. So we're helping them so they can have a meal. And then we help give food for the elderly into elderly homes that are close by, of independent living. But they are in floors that are so high, there's no electricity. So the elevator is not working. They cannot go down and then go upstairs, so they cannot access food. So they were taking food to them and going in a few hours, probably 4 or 5, at 5, we go to public square next to the Catholic church to give out for the homeless and to give out for families and children. Everybody goes there to have food at 5 p.m. So that's what we're doing. But we had a problem. We had the gas and the gas tanks to cook, and we had the kitchen, but we didn't have any food. But there are other churches that couldn't cook because their churches suffer more damage. So they have been bringing food in so that we can cook. So the miracle of the multiplication of bread and fishes happened here. And right now we have been keeping receiving food, uncooked food that we can use to maximize it and to give food, good food, every single day. And like one of my coworkers said, we are being living literally what our Father, the prayer, what is it? Give us our daily bread. Well, literally, we're hanging on to that, and that's our request. Give us our daily bread. So we technically don't know what we're cooking tomorrow. We know we'll be cooking. What? We don't know, but something will happen. Today, people came in and brought vegetables that were in their backyards, and people are bringing stuff. And that's great because we use it and give it out. Among all those blessings, Red Cross needed a shelter, a staff shelter. And so we're using our sanctuary to host 125 staff coming from all over the world, literally, to become part of the relief for Puerto Rico, not for Rio Piedras, it's for Puerto Rico. There are 250 volunteers that have come from Red Cross, and 125 are sleeping over here. And that has been a blessing in itself because our generator broke yesterday, one. And before that, our concern was, how are we going to get diesel to run the generator? Because we are so small that right now the diesel companies are going to hospitals, going to these big companies. They're not going to come here to give us like, a few gallons of diesel. But because Red Cross is here, they're taking care of the diesel because they need the electricity. But at the same time, when it broke last night, I was very concerned. What are we going to do? Well, this morning I found out that there are two engineers from the army that came from Korea, and their expertise is in generators. So they have been fixing the generator the whole day. And thank you, Jesus, that you brought them from Korea here so that they could fix our generator today. So they're working on it. We had no tools, but then people brought tools, and they have been gathering tools from everybody who had come in, and that's what we're doing. We have seen God's provision. We have seen multiplication of things. But I think that the best has been the will of people to do something. And we have decided that we're not just going to sit back and wait for the government, from FEMA, from the municipal government. We are working. So another committee is security, because again, we have people that are doing the good, and we have people that take advantage of this situation. And there have been some assaults, and there have been some difficult situations in the area. And without a hurricane, this is a very, no, I don't want to say dangerous, but it is a very challenging community in itself, as it is. Imagine now, with everything completely dark at night, people not having money or being able to get money, so they need to steal. If they are an addiction, they need their drugs. We know that that's an illness. They need it, and they're going to do whatever to get it. So we need security. So we have organized, and we have a brigades of security that go out at night to go around the city and patrol. These are community members. And the health one, and the feeding, and the recreation, because people are so upset with what things they lost, with not being able to have water, electricity. Kids are used to TV, internet, PlayStations. That's not available. They don't know what it is to live like this. So they are upset, they're tired, they want this to be gone. We are an instant community, we want everything fast. Well, that's not happening. So they're learning the hard way. So we're having a recreational activity, probably Sunday or Monday, with music and activities for the kids, and to make sure that there's some happiness and some other things to talk about, and to laugh and to enjoy and become a community among ourselves. So basically, those are the committees so far. We have, yes, a spiritual and counseling committee that is like merged with everything else as pastors and counselors, and we are like in every other community, committee and community. So as we are needed, we're there working. So basically, that's what we decided. We decided to be part of a solution. We are not requesting the government for anything. So whatever we're doing it in the community with our own strengths, with our own resources, and making the best of it. So it is not easy. Sometimes you feel that you lose your strength. And to be honest with you, what had broken me sometimes is when I read the comments of people giving me support. Until then, I'm fine. But as soon as I start reading what people tell me, knowing people don't know how important that is, because you know you're not alone. And even if people are not physically here, just knowing that you have a church somewhere that you don't even know praying for you, that they're concerned. Before Irma and now in Maria, people like regional ministers that have been in touch, people, staff, national staff, region staff from all over. We're praying, we're here, you're not alone. That in itself, we know God is there, but we need our brothers and sisters too. And to know that they're there, that they're praying, that they're paying attention. That in itself, it's relieves you of this burden. And we're taking it day by day. What we have. We hope for the best, but we're getting ready for being like this 6 months or more. The electric system was very, very hit. So we don't know. We will hope it will end in 3 months, in 1 month, in a week, but we know that's not happening. So we're getting ready for the worst. 6-9 months without power. So batteries are highly needed and very well used for flashlights, for battery fans. This is a tropical island. It is very hot. And at night, trying to sleep is very hot. So having a battery fan is like precious. Forget about AC. That's not even thinkable at this point. So we're working on all those things and hoping that that obviously things will go by as quickly as possible. But at the same time, seeing the gospel, literally the gospel, the good news of Christ being lived more than taught. We're learning a lot as a church. Church members have come by today, and when they see hammocks hanging by next to the sanctuary, and they go and they see cots all over the sanctuary, and they have asked me, Pastor, how long are they staying? At least a month. And they're like, where are we meeting? I'm like, outside. One of the Red Cross leaders told me, Pastor, I hate to shut down your church, the church. And I said, the church is the people. You're not shutting us down. This is a sanctuary. I will use it 3 hours a week. You need it now. Forget it. We worship anywhere. So we will be worshiping this Sunday outside. but the Red Cross has a place to stay. And we take it from there. So we that's what we're doing. I'm trying to make the most out of this, trying to make jokes, trying to keep the goodwill running. People here tend to be very passionate about what they believe and what they feel. And we have come together from completely opposite views on every single little thing you might think of, from politics to religion to environment to, you think about it, economic systems, think about it. We have been all together sitting here working together. And there are times when we want to, some people still want to be politically correct, and others don't want to, bother about that. So we have to kind of like coach and be, come on, it's not the time for that. And today, one of the guys told me something that I found it was a compliment. He said, like, you have really impressed me. To be a religious person, you have impressed me. And I started laughing. I'm like, thank you for your compliment. And he started laughing too, because unfortunately, as religious, like they called us, religious people, we might have not been, we have disappointed too many people. And in this community, you have many people that are highly disappointed by religious people. And like I said to some of my church members, we have to be humble and listen, act, and shut up. Because we need to earn respect now. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. And don't be offended. That's the reality. So just being able to see these people saying, now I know there's religious, quote unquote, people who are different. That is good enough for me.
Laura, you clearly are facing what seems to me insurmountable challenges. Mm-hmm. You have my utmost respect for the way that you are dealing with them and your attitude. And I know that I speak for the entire American Baptist family in saying that your brothers and sisters are with you in this. American Baptist Home Mission Societies has convened a roundtable to talk about bringing all American Baptist organizations to the table to talk about how we can all work together to make this situation better for you. So please know that. Please know that we're all praying for you, and you have our blessings, and you'll have to let us know as we move forward how we can continue to help.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.